Hey guys, how you doing? It's good to see you here. I wanted to get you started on what you might have missed from our most recent confirmation class, which was a focus on the second article of the Creed about who Jesus is. So Jesus is the second article part that we focus on, the part of God that is the Son. And so Jesus, the Son, what does he do? What is his special job? Why is this part of God necessary? Why did he come as a human and be a human and God at the same time? And what does that even look like? How do you be God and a human? How do you take that whole spiritual self of God and put it into a human? It's kind of mind-blowing if you think about it. So we've really focused on this week was that right there, that Jesus wasn't just a man. He was fully man, but he wasn't just a man. He was also fully God, but he chose to humble himself. He chose to keep his divine power in a lot of ways at a minimum and live very humanly as he was here on the earth. Now, did that come out during his ministry? You better believe it. Did Jesus, what do we know about him? If you read about Jesus, think about the things we do know. He was born in a manger, in like a place of animals because there was no room for him when he was born. He was born of a virgin mother who was Mary. He had a carpenter father. He grew up in Nazareth. He spent some time in Egypt. He spoke with authority when he was at the temple when he was only 12. There are these things we know about him, and then we learn about him through his ministry and how he had disciples and how he taught and how he did miracles and all those things. So you see how his godliness, his divine power starts to come out when he starts his ministry. And the more and more he kind of lets that out, have you noticed that's when a lot of the trouble comes into play for him. So throughout his earlier days, he's being very human. And so I was pointing that out. We actually watched, and I'm gonna attach a link to the YouTube video here to go see the episode that we watched some of during our class about Jesus and the little children. And it's a chosen episode of, it shows how Jesus did very human things. He started a fire. He made his own food. He built things out of wood. Could Jesus, who was also 100% God, like fully God, could he have just been like, fire, start. Let's just make a boat appear. Let's just make a soup appear for me. You know, he could even just forego hunger. He could be like, I'm not even hungry. But he allowed himself to feel all the needs, the hurts that we experience as humans. And so he was fully human. So he had to do the work. He got sores on his hands and his fingers. He got tired. He was sweaty. He got, all those things. He felt the pain, the sadness. He was taking that on himself. So it's a really cool part that we were talking about in this session, how Jesus is fully man and yet also fully God. And it's a really hard thing to put those two and to think about how that both fit into one person. But that's important to understand. If you missed this week, I'm going to keep it short because I think a lot of this gets explained then between that video. It's kind of fun to watch about Jesus talking to the little children and watching how he's like a real person, a real human. He was, and he exists today still as God, right? He was God then too. But why is it important to know that Jesus was God? Well, Jesus is the connector. So I want you to open up to your workbook page 49, which is the beginning of the second article. Your memory is at the top there, and you can kind of see a little bit how I have it divided. The first part stops right there, and the second part is below. So for this week, you should have done up into the what does this mean? Born of a Virgin Mary is my Lord. And then the second part continues on with who has redeemed me, all the way to the end. So if you're doing memory, that's how you split that one up, just to help yourself not have to do it all at once. And then I want you to open up from page 49. I'd like you to do page 50 and 51 for absent homework. So it walks you through like, what does it mean to confess Jesus as Lord? Why is he our Lord? Why do we want him to be our God? What did he do? And then how is he true man? How is he true God? Like, what are some of the differences that we can see that are he was fully man, but what are the things that make him truly God? And it says to go in your catechism and read through questions 154 and 151 to 154 on page 50 for that bottom part. And then the next page walks you through a little bit more of the same stuff, but some specifics on, what does the Bible tell us about Jesus being true man? He's like our brother, because we're also humans. We're also people who lived this life. And so really in our ancestry, it's like having a brother. He's our brother in that way. And then he's also our brother as a true God. And so how does he reveal himself as God to us? So I want you to do page 50 and 51 and kind of walk through the A, B's, and C's that are there. And again, the catechism gives you the answers. So just kind of go back and forth. Learn, take that in, watch that episode if you have a chance. I would love for you to watch that because it really kind of does a good job of giving you a visual of what life as human Jesus might have been like. So, and then we will jump into a little bit more next week about how Jesus is our rescuer. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you have a good week. I have behind me the presents that were left over from Angel Tree. I know a lot of you helped with Angel Tree or caroling we did, but hey, if you had to miss it, because I know a number of you got sick, I hope that you are all feeling better and you guys have a better week this week. Talk to you later.